Hello and welcome back to K&F Design. If you're new here, my name is Katie. Please head down below and give me a like and subscribe to this channel. It really does help, and I'd love to be a crafting friend with you. Today I have this fun little candy hoarder cat mummy that I made. You can find the design down below as well. And you just pull his little tail down, and then you can get the candy out from the back here. And you can just fill it with some fun little treats that you like. Great, a lot of fun for kids. And then the nice thing about this one is that you can refill it and reuse it for maybe next year, something like that. But I had a lot of fun making them, and so I'm excited to show you how to make them yourself. So let's get crafting. When you upload the cat candy holder, it should look like this. For some reason, Cricut is not making it the correct size, so we just need to size it, but that's not a big deal. So we'll just go over here to shapes, and let's make a circle. I'm going to change the color to something a little bit brighter so it's easier to see. And while this design is still selected, we want to resize it. So don't hit ungroup until we resize it. That way everything is sized together. So my candy dome is 3.15, 3.14 is usually a common one. So make your circle the size of your candy holder there. And then we just want the center of our cat to be the same size of that. So as you can see, right now it's a little too small. So we will just resize it and just keep going until it is pretty close to the size. Right, so that looks pretty good there. So now that that's all resized, we do not need a purple circle. And now that it's resized, we can ungroup everything so we can play around with it if we need to. That should be all that you need to do. So let's say you want to change maybe the eyeballs. You want them to be purple. You can do that if you would like. You don't have to change the colors. It's just kind of nice to see how they would look. I'm going to make mine, keep mine the green color, but that's just me. But feel free to play around with it how you would like. If you don't want the Halloween cat, let's say you want just a regular black cat, you can come over here and hide all the little wrappings. And you would also want to do that for the tail piece as well. This is going to be the mechanism that you pull down. A lot of times I've seen them where the piece that you pull to open up the candy is just kind of sticking off to the side. So I'm camouflaging it into his tail here. And this will be a rotating one, so you'll need these two circles as well. I did do a couple different layers. I decided just to do not an actual layer for the eyes or the mouth, just to save on some cardstock, and that way if you wanted to take off the wrapping you could. But I did do another layer for the pink just because cutting circles, little tiny circles, is a pain.
they're easy to lose, and sometimes it can be difficult to kind of line them up. So I made that one easy. And the eyes and the mouthpiece, you'll just fit it right in the hole there. So I don't think that'll be too difficult. And it, again, just saves us a little bit of extra cardstock. With the cat resized, he is about 5 inches wide and 7 inches tall. Just the body itself. I'm going to cut all of mine on cardstock, but you could do other materials as well, like felt would work and look kind of cute. Could be kind of maybe cute to do the cat felt and maybe the wrapping in like HTV vinyl or something like that. You could also do your cat with glitter vinyl, but just remember sometimes glitter vinyl, it's difficult to get things to stick to it depending on what you use to secure. I'm just going to use some glue or depending on the glitter you use. So I'm just going to do normal cardstock myself, but feel free to play around with things if you would like. So let's make a cat and then I'll show you how to assemble him.
So I went ahead and cut out all of my designs. They're pretty large, so you shouldn't have any issues with cutting them. But if you do, you can always check the cardstock, your settings, and your blade. Now, my ears and my paws. I was distracted playing fetch with my kitten. She kept bringing me her ball. So when it was time to cut this layer here, instead of cutting it on black, I cut it pink. And I figured, well, I already have the cutouts for the paws and the ears. So instead of recutting it, I just am going to make it, it's not that difficult, I'll just stick them inside like that. So instead of having a nice layer and make it easy on you and myself what I was trying to do, I'm just going to glue them inside. So it's just slightly different step when I'm assembling. But if this was your pink layer, you just are going to sandwich it in between instead of layering it like I'm doing. If that's confusing, let me know and I will recut it and add that in if anyone gets confused on that. But with that, let's start assembling. Oh, and I got my glass plastic spheres. This one is the 3.15 inch, which is 8 centimeters. This is a 2-pack, well, it's 2 halves from Hobby Lobby. I think it was like $2. It was not in the Christmas section, so if you try to make these for other holidays, just know Hobby Lobby does have them all year round. You can cut off this plastic piece here if you want, but it's also going to get covered up, so I'm just leaving mine on. And it'll go like that together, but you only need 1/2, so just pick 1/2 and set the other one aside. So then you would put the pink one, and then that guy is going to go right on top. And I don't know if you keep this, it's kind of making his face stick up a little bit, so I'm actually going to spin that around and make sure I leave that end at the bottom. If it sticks up too much, I might just cut it off actually. If you don't want to cut these off, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but this one sticks up a little bit more than this one. This one lays flat because this one has that edge. So when I put this one down, it's nice and smooth here. Whereas this other one, I don't know if you can tell, but it's a little gappy now because this one doesn't lay smooth. So if you decide not to cut that off, just make sure you do the one that is flush to the ground. Just for the ease, since we're doing this version, I'm going to actually wait to put this on the front. I'm going to do the back first of our little cat. So the way this mechanism works is this is the opening that our candy will come out. But at some point you want it to be able to close. And then when you move his tail, it'll open and you can shake the candy out. And when you're done, you can put his tail back in place and it closes. I'm just gonna, the black's hard to see. So let me see if you can tell a little bit better with that on there. So when his tail's in place, it looks like that. And then as it'll spin, it'll open up and reveal the candy, and then you can close it back. This here is going to go on top, and we're going to bend these little pieces down. And what that's going to do is it's going to prevent the tail from opening up too much. But we have this circle to go on top, which these pieces are going to then glue to. Because if you glued it just to this tail piece, well, then you wouldn't be able to move the tail at all because this would hold it down. So we'll glue it to this circle here. And the tail will be able to slide between the two sandwiched pieces there. So the big point is to make sure your tail is facing the right way. So we want, again, I'm just using the pink so it's a little bit easier for you to see. So we'll put the flaps up. And see if his tail was like this, then it's down in the closed position, and if it moved, it's still closed. So that position doesn't work, so we know we need to go this way, and you can move it. So make sure you test it to make sure it works. Again, if we did it this way, it doesn't open, so got to make sure the tail is facing the right way, so that way it works properly. So now that we know that that's how we want it, we'll put our circle on top and glue down these little tabs. And try not to get too much glue down in this area, just a little bit on the tip, that way it doesn't close that middle layer. It's paper, so just a little bit will do you. You don't have to press super hard. Because you still want it to be able to slide around. Just to make it easier to work with, I'm going to go ahead and do the bandaging on my cat now. I just laid it out so I knew where I wanted to glue it, and just note that there's some pieces that do cross over just to make it look a little bit more realistic.
So, and then I turned this over, so this is where the spokes were pointing up, and that way when it's on the back, it'll be, these little spots will be hidden. Another trick I like to do, I don't know if you can tell, but this side of my cardstock's a little bit bumpier. This side's a little bit smoother, and I wanted the texture side up, and that also helps me with determining how these pieces go. I know all the more textured side needed to be facing up. Now that we have those pieces done, let's attach the tail. So we need the back piece. There's two ways we could do this. We could attach this, again, is the area where the flaps are, so it's smoother on this side. Flap area is here. I don't know if you'll be able to tell that. So you could put it on the back, and then when the tail moves, it'll open and close, and you'll just see that mechanism on the back, but it's nice and smooth. You could technically also put it on the top and attach your sphere to it so you know exactly where it needs to go. And then attach it to the front. But when you look through the sphere, you'll see these tabs and things. It's just not quite as clean as seeing it through the smooth piece of paper like that. You'll see the mechanism. So I'm going to put my mechanism on the back side. So that looks good. And I'll just apply glue around here. You could keep doing your white glue if you want. Because this piece is going to get moved a lot, I think I'm going to go with the hot glue this time.
you can open this. You don't need to put the candy in yet. Now, just to be sure I glue it in the correct spot, I'm just going to make a pinhook all the way around since it will get covered up by the other layer. So I can see where it needs to be glued. Just make sure you don't put your glue too thick. If you had that pink layer that didn't have the cutouts, you'd place that now, but since I did that differently, I'm going to place my top layer next. Helps if I do the right side correctly. It should be a nice tight fit in there. And I'll just add all the little extra pieces here. Here is what our little cat looks like. Let's put some little candies inside now. There you go.